What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Silver Screen Shenanigans podcast. My name is Devin, and the question of the day is, in Captain America Civil War, there are two sides in this movie, two factions. Which side are you going to choose, Team Cap or Team Iron Man? For me, the first, 3-4 times that I watched this movie, there are always those, things online where they're like Team Iron Man for this reason, Team Cap for this reason, and I never knew. I never knew until I watched it this time, and I'm like, okay, obviously Team Cap, because for I think two reasons. One, this is made by the world government. We know how slow regular government works just in one country. Imagine how slow they would have to all come together, and how slow it would be to get a green light for all the governments.
20 countries.
Yeah, they all have to vote to give the Avengers the green light to go anywhere. So that's super slow. And by the time I get there, probably everybody's already dead. And then second, just like Cap says in this movie, it's legislation made by people with an agenda. And with people, agendas change. So he understands how it can be a slippery slope. And also Cap knows what a government on steroids can do. So yeah, I'm Team Cap.
All right. Hello, my name is Riley. I think the more we talk about this, the more I go back and forth. Because
it's not easy.
No, absolutely not. On one hand, every enemy that they've faced so far is their own fault. If they didn't exist, these enemies wouldn't exist. Except for Hydra, obviously. But even that, they could have, somebody would have figured it out, and somebody could have done something about it.
Your Vision's thing, the power invites challenge.
Yes. I think that's the best argument, that them having all this abilities and all this stuff invites people to come and test themselves, causing them to want to be evil and then attack people. Also, Ultron, right before this, he was made by Tony. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Tony realizes this and doesn't want it to happen again, so he agrees to the Accords, so what we're talking about is the Sokovian Accords, which is after they dropped Sokovia out of the sky.
Right.
But I think I'm on Team Tony because I believe that he is correct in his assumption that if there wasn't the power being shown, they wouldn't have to worry about people coming and attacking.
Hi, my name is Jacob. I'm like Devin. I didn't really know until this point of which I thought which side was deserving of being right. Both sides had great arguments, like you both stated, right? They do kind of need to be checked because they are destroying whole cities in in the fight. But then again, on Riley's side, the fight wouldn't have happened if it weren't for them being a thing, right? The Ultron situation. If we go back to Iron Man 2, the Grand Prix, right? If it wasn't a hatred for the Stark family, he wouldn't have been on that track slashing up the cars, right? Mm-hmm. So little examples like that. So I do want to lean towards the Stark side, but I also know the whole government aspect. So I'm actually going to go with Cap side here because they are going to be limited. And now that they are a thing, you can't take back time. Their presence is already a thing, and so those enemies are going to be coming, and they need to be able to respond, and they're not going to be able to.
Tony has created half of the villains in Marvel.
I don't know. So, for example, the Electro Slasher, I don't remember his name.
Whiplash.
That wasn't necessarily Tony's fault, but that was his dad and his company's fault.
The Starks. It's all the Starks' fault.
But yeah, no, I see what you mean, that there's a lot of destruction that comes along with the Avengers team. It's just, I feel like that's just kind of, unfortunately, a consequence of a fight.
Yeah.
And if they don't show up there would be way more destruction and way more death.
The only
So you just have to like make that decision.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna have some destruction and some death, or just all the death and all the destruction?
the only time that I'd be like, Cap's in the right here is during New York with the big guys coming out of the sky. That's aliens. I mean, that's not their fault.
Yeah.
They didn't cause that.
And also, the government just wanted to nuke
Yeah.
Manhattan. They said, "Nah, we ain't gonna do this," and then
It would have worked. Maybe.
and it would have killed more people.
Well, actually, it wouldn't have, huh? Because they were shooting them out of a portal.
Yeah. And they were just gonna shoot the city, and then like, what is that gonna do?
Well, the blast would have kind of gone up into space.
I do like how they showed the Hulk from New York just smashing the buildings. Like, see what you did?
Yeah,
You guys were gonna nuke the entire city. It would have killed more people.
yeah.
So yeah, we start off a little bit back in time in 1991, where we see not Bucky but the Winter Soldier right now.
They're the same person. I mean,
Hold on. No, they're
different
they're
mentalities.
they're the same body, but absolutely two different minds.
he is one of my least favorite superheroes, dude.
For like no good reason that you told us up to this point.
Because you can't separate the fact that he has two mentalities.
Yeah,
What?
he did all this bad stuff. Put him in jail.
Well,
I mean,
so he wrecks this car and takes his blue liquid, and then we jump cut to the present. We're in Lagos, present day. We got like Cap, Wanda, Black Widow, Sam, kind of doing this like secret like stakeout type of thing where they're all in the sunglasses and caps, and and the real Cap is up in this like second story of this building, and they're all like, you know, looking for motion, looking for detections, yada yada. Here, they're after this terrorist who's what we gather is after this deadly chemical, which, you know, not great.
Bio warfare. So
Probably don't want that in a terrorist hand. So really cool stunt, really cool practical stunt here, where this garbage truck hits a barricade and flips forward and knocks out like this cement like wall thing, and like, I mean, incredibly dangerous, but like that is super cool that they were able to flip a garbage truck and like do all this like destruction and stuff.
yeah. I think that in this, is it before this or is it after this that like we get this? No, never mind.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not gonna talk about it.
Who gets out of this garbage truck? A bunch of goons and Crossbones, who is the dude that Sam was fighting at the end of Winter Soldier, who got the building dropped on him. Which, how's he's alive? I don't know.
Anger, lots of anger and rage.
And Crossbones is he doesn't have a whole lot of time to shine in the MCU, but in the comic books, he is very significant in the story of Civil War. Because in that comic book story, he ends up assassinating Captain America, which is, whoa.
That's what confuses me. I guess I've never really read a whole lot of comic books.
No, I mean, neither have I.
And
But
you're
like,
telling me that Captain America dies in this one, but then he's there again in Infinity War or like Endgame.
oh yeah,
I'm confused.
I mean, that's just the thing with comic book characters; they get brought back like
yeah.
few issues later. So Crossbones and Cap, they have fight. And all Crossbones is doing is just kind of stalling him and telling his rest of his guys to get out of there, because Crossbones knows he's either going to die or get arrested. So
Yeah, he's not planning on leaving.
yeah. And he has a pretty cool suit. Like, he has this like thing that can like,
It's like a jackhammer base almost.
It's like he ejects from his forearm, and like it's super strong, whatever it is. It's like it has a lot of force.
But then he can like retract it by pulling his fist back, and it pulls back. So he can like do multiple shots.
And it also has a knife. It almost stabs Cap.
Ooh.
But eventually, you know, Cap knows how to fight really, really well. So
In the beginning of this fight, it looks like Cap's getting beaten up.
oh yeah, no, he is. But he kind of adapts, turns the tide, and takes his mask off, and yeah, he ain't looking good. This guy ain't
he
looking
realizes who it is,
Kind of rough.
and yeah, because that's the guy who was in the elevator with him.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, he looks pretty okay for a building being dropped on him. You know?
Yeah, he should be dead for.
Yeah, probably.
So Cap has him, and
Oh, he talks about Bucky. He says, "I was there when they put him on,
Tortured,
or they pulled
yeah.
him off ice to torture him. He remembered you or something like that." Cap
then-
freezes completely.
And then we scrambled his brains again.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which gives
And
him
then
the
this
time.
is he has like a bunch of, I don't know, it was a bomb vest, and it was a claymore, a bunch of grenades, I don't know, it was something. And so like usually with that, right? Like I don't know because I've never blown myself up, but like I imagine when you blow yourself up, you don't really feel it because it's
Yeah.
like instantaneous.
I'd hope that you don't feel it.
But Wanda makes him feel it
Yeah,
because she like holds the blast, which is pretty cool that she's able to do it. She's that strong. So he's just like slowly exploding because like you can see the flames and stuff like slowly coming out. And I'm like, oh my God, that is terrible. Like that is a horrific fate.
What stone did she get her powers from?
What was in Loki's scepter?
The Mind Stone.
Mind Stone.
So yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say because if it was the Reality Stone, she could slow down time in reality, and that would make it go slower.
Just make it a bubble.
Yeah, I was trying to think of how she caused it to be slower, but I don't know if it was making it slower or if she was just compressing it.
Do you know what his actual powers are?
Who, Crossbones?
Yes, because like earlier, like when Natasha was fighting him, she shocked him in the neck, and he goes, "It doesn't work like that anymore."
Oh yeah, right.
Does he not feel pain
I just
anymore?
figured he had like some super high pain tolerance after he got the belt and he dropped on him. He just didn't feel a lot anymore.
I bet he was burned, so all of his nerve endings were probably
Ooh,
torched,
maybe.
which is why so it wouldn't have hurt him at all. Being
Well, I
exploded
feel like
over
to
and
an
over.
extent, you know,
Because he was definitely going like,
he was screaming.
definitely kind of. Anyways, so she
Wanda-
can't quite hold it. So she throws it up into the air and she blows up a building and
She like slips. She's
Yeah.
like holding it, taking it up slowly to like get it up out of the city's range so it doesn't hurt anybody. And then she like slips and throws it at the building.
kills a lot of people.
It was a conference, like a Wakandan conference or something, right? That's what brings.
I think.
I think
yeah.
it was like more like missionaries or
Oh, that's
someone
what-
that
yeah,
trying to
you're
help
right. Yeah.
out the community.
Which is like, I mean, Cap says it all. He's looking at it. He's like, oh my God. So obviously it's like not her fault. It's Crossbones' fault. But what it looks like is the superheroes, through negligence, just blew up a building with a lot of people in it. So then we cut to Tony, and he's looking like super young, like a lot younger than we think he should be. He's talking to his parents, and he at the very, like, you can tell the strained relationship between him and his father, and like he really does care about his mother. At this point, he's like, I think he's going to MIT, and as his parents leave, he says like, "I love you."
Well, yeah, him and his dad got in a big fight right before,
Mm-hmm.
and they showed that, which is kind of nice. And then he's like, "I love you, Dad."
And then the real Tony's in the background, and he's like, or at least that's what I wish I would said. And I'm like, oof. So here he's showing off Barf, which is like, it's like cleansing. It's like,
Biotechnical-
yeah, I don't know. It's like to cleanse traumatic memories.
Yeah.
Binary augmented retro framing. ARF.
He called it barf.
Yeah. Well, I expect nothing less from Tony.
Absolutely nothing.
Then he funds all of the kids' MIT projects. So that's pretty cool.
Which could have just created a bunch of villains. Like, actually,
Or heroes.
or heroes. But if any of them hated him, and he paid for their MIT project.
In reality, you are right, because like in the medical field, like they do a bunch of research and like look at ethics of your project or like
Yeah.
your research before they even like let you do it. And this man, so he just
painful.
bypassed the whole
Go
like funding project. Like, we don't know if you should be making this thing you make.
I wonder if they have to do that still. They're like, you can fund them, but like they haven't passed yet. So
Then we go back.
he's going down to the elevator, and we meet this mother of a boy, and this is why I think Tony has it, like, this is really solidifies what Tony thinks, is because he always gets, like, different perspectives, like, in these movies that the other Avengers don't get.
Yeah.
Like, in Age of Ultron, he gets the vision of, like, needing the suit of armor and everybody dying. In this movie, he gets the story of this mother of a kid who died while they were fighting in Sokovia.
The only reason he went to Sokovia was to help build houses for
the poor.
the poor and needy. And then he got a building dropped on him.
Not good.
Yeah, the Sokovia thing kind of created a lot of people who are mad at him.
Yeah. So then we go back to Avengers Compound, and Thunderbolt Ross is here, and he introduces the legislation of the Sokovia Accords, which was signed by like 172 countries, something like that. And yeah, they show the clips of like the destruction of like the Avengers, which I always thought was kind of silly because obviously the stuff got destroyed and people got killed. But if the Avengers weren't there in any of those fights, then the world would have lost.
Yeah.
But then there's also the other side that did cause half of them.
And like one of the pictures is of the thing that had just happened at where was it at? The thing with Crossbones.
Lango, whatever. It started
Yeah,
Lagos.
Lagos. So, and when they show that, it zooms in on Scarlet Witch, and she's like, Wanda Maximoff, and she like gets very upset.
Yeah, she doesn't have that name yet.
It's close enough.
Which I don't know why they would do that, because that's like a little traumatic, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, no, she just killed a bunch of people on accident.
And we're going to show you doing it.
Look, see, you need to sign because of this.
So yeah, it's a complicated debate. Like because it's like a worldwide panel that would decide what the superheroes would do, and obviously, yeah, I just think that's silly.
And like the thing is, both Tony and Cap have reasons. Like Cap's reason is he has lived through a regime that they were all about. The one person is in charge of a lot of stuff, and that didn't work out. So if one like country was in charge of the Avengers, it wouldn't work out either. So, and meanwhile,
yeah.
Tony, he had the visions. He was the one who made Ultron. Behind everybody's back, he was the one who made Ultron and caused all of that damage.
Tony has a lot of guilt. And
yeah.
He's hoping this will fix it,
Yeah. I think that's probably why he makes his decisions in the later movies too, is just to deal with the guilt and trying to make up for things that he's done.
So then we cut to this dude who just crashed his car like a total nerd outside some guy's house.
Crashed into the guy's car
Yeah.
that was parked in the driveway.
What the heck? This guy is Zemo, and he knocks on this guy's door, and he cracks it just a little bit, and he bonks him on the head and knocks him out. We learn that this guy, who Zemo's house that he broke into, he was a Hydra agent that was a part of Bucky's like brainwashing and like getting him out of the ice and sending him on to do missions and such. So Zemo drowns this guy and takes the red book.
He keeps asking him about mission log
December 16th, 1991.
Yeah. So we keep hearing that over and over again. He'll continue to ask about it. And
he's obsessed with finding this date and what happened on this date.
yeah.
And how does he know where this guy is? How does he know where all this stuff is? Natasha releasing all the Hydra and SHIELD files at the end of the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So then we go back. Yeah. I understand why she did that was to expose Hydra and to like end their stuff.
It was a good idea, but it was badly executed.
Oh yeah, no, it was because you get fellows. Well, I mean, Zemo probably would have did what he did without that, but like it definitely helped him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Back to Avengers Compound, they have a debate. And you can already kind of tell like whose side who is on. But as that's happening, Steve gets a text and Peggy's dead. She died in London because she was, she was old. She was getting old.
Yeah,
And she also
like
had
96 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it in the last one. She had dementia and she was losing her mind in a bed.
Yeah.
So that's not good. Steve goes to that wedding and here's a speech from Sharon, Peggy's niece, and like I think this also sets up Cap's like resolve because she has a speech about like is it being like something like is it like steady as an oak tree and to like stand up for what you believe in and such, like it's something along those lines.
Yeah, being immovable.
Yeah. So Cap's set in stone. Like he's not gonna
Yeah.
While that's happening, Natasha is still. I think is it still at Lagos where she goes to that meeting where we meet King T'Chaka and T'Challa.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say yes or no.
I don't know.
But there's a huge
Meeting
because they're working on the Sokovian Accords. So people are they're going to vote on it.
Yeah,
still.
people from world governments around the world are coming to delegate in government things.
Yeah.
But yeah, King T'Challa King T'Chaka and T'Challa is there.
It's in
Tongue
Vienna.
twisters.
Vienna.
Vienna
Yeah.
what? Where is Vienna?
In Europe somewhere. Rip Chadwick Boseman, one of the coolest dudes on film.
This is our first introduction to him as his character T'Challa.
So many great roles throughout like his career. Jackie Robinson, T'Challa. I didn't watch 21 Bridges, but I heard good things about it.
I did see it. It was a pretty good movie.
He's a phenomenal actor.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion.
and he is so cool in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Also, Vienna is in Austria.
Austria.
Um,
I know where Austria is.
So
So
building blows up,
Yes, T'Challa is looking out the window and sees a bunch of people running,
and
the building blows up.
his dad, the king, T'Chaka, dies, like in his arms, and that's heavily traumatic.
Yeah.
Not good. They're kind of regrouping outside of the place, and Natasha is calling Cap, and she's like, "I just got lucky, I guess. The blast didn't get me."
And then on the TV,
he puts on,
on the TV we see who they're saying it was. They're saying that it was the Winter Soldier,
yeah,
which is Bucky. At this point, it is Bucky,
yeah,
and
heavily confused Bucky. And then so like he puts on, as he's talking to Natasha, he puts on his father's ring, and he says something like, my father was all about forgiveness and peace and letting things go. And he stands up and he says, "I'm not my father."
so Cap immediately drops what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he was at a funeral, and that kind of got over, and he immediately went over to Austria.
yeah. Poor Cap has no time to grieve at all. He's like, on to the next thing.
Yeah. So he goes over and he calls Natasha, Natasha calls him, and she can hear the sirens in the background, so she knows that he's nearby.
Yeah.
Already.
And yeah, he's there to get Bucky.
Yeah.
Because he cares about his friend. And he just lost a dear companion, so he really wants to save this one. And gosh darn it, Bucky, just go with him. You could have beat all the SWAT people if you just would have ran. Nah, he chooses to fight.
Can we talk about Cap and Falcon's like incognito outfits for a second here?
Hey, it works. Okay, it 100% works because
A hat and a jacket are not like
and shades, because in a later movie, there's a guy who's in the background the whole movie, and we don't notice him because we got this get up
he's
on.
got the super
Exactly.
secret-
Did you notice him? I didn't notice him.
I don't even know what
we
you're
did.
talking about.
We also didn't know like of his relevance. You know.
Far From Home,
Yeah.
Mysterio.
Got that, but we didn't know who he was to begin with.
So we didn't recognize him.
Exactly.
Well, Captain America is a very recognizable person. You know. I feel like shades and glasses don't really hide it.
I guess it worked because nobody recognizes him.
I suppose so. So, yeah, Cap goes and finds Bucky first.
And he's confused.
Yes,
He's like,
Bucky doesn't remember.
he's like, yeah, I know who you are. I saw you in a museum.
Yeah,
That's what I know about you.
and Cap is telling him, if we go, I can help you. We can get you help. Just come with me now. And Bucky goes, no, I can't. And instead of just leaving, he decides to fight his way out.
Just like SWAT team bust in and start shooting up the place.
Cap goes, don't kill anybody. And Bucky goes, I didn't plan on it. And then he takes a battering ram and punches a guy in the stomach. Definitely didn't kill that one.
I like how another like inadvertently funny part of that is when he knocks the guy out who's like rappelling down. So he's just like hanging there and he uses him to jump across like the staircase. Yeah, no, these guys are like concussed and like broken sternums and ribs and like not dead.
Well, that's the premise of any superhero, right? Like even Batman and Spider-Man, they'll just kick the crap out of everybody, leave them unconscious on the ground. They're not dead, but
They're definitely hurt.
They're hurting.
Pretty bad.
So they have chase. They're running across the freeway. Oh, I guess before that, Bucky jumps out the window onto the roof of the building, and he gets tackled by this figure.
In a
Black Panther suit.
Ooh, this is, honestly, this is my favorite suit.
It's so sleek. It's so cool.
it is my favorite Black Panther suit by far.
I mean, I can't think of a better suit. Like, straight up.
I think Killmonger's suit is pretty good for him, like with the gold and like that's how it's like flashy and everything. It works for him.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, for like T'Challa, this is like number one.
It is it's like a sleek black with accents of dark gray. So it's not even like light gray or like silver. It's like dark gray.
I thought there was silver in it.
Yeah, he has like a silver necklace.
Okay,
and,
well,
like,
I'm just completely wrong.
in his eyes, which I think is cooler than like the comic books, because in the comic books it's kind of like Spidey's like all black suit, like it's just all black. There's like nothing else going on besides the eyes. But so they're chasing after each other, and you always forget how fast these guys can run. Like they can run with cars.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we were talking the other day, and I thought that Bucky didn't have super serum, and I thought he was just a normal person.
I'm pretty sure he does. I'm pretty sure
he's
he does.
running 40 miles an hour.
I'm
so
pretty sure he
probably has super serum.
He does that cool stunt, like he said, where he flips the guy off of his motorcycle and like turns it around.
He grabs the motorcycle's handle, like,
and like just
it is
forces
very,
it, just
very
like
cool.
forces it around in midair.
and jumps on it and takes off.
You know, Cap gets in a car too. Well, it makes sense. It's faster than running.
Takes less energy.
Um,
Black Panther's grabbed onto
yeah,
the
he
back
grabbed
of his car
and they are
because he's got vibranium claws.
true. Well, they all get arrested.
Yeah.
Rhodey shows up and is like, "Congrats, y'all, you're criminals." So they get taken back to the government
this is when we
compound.
get the cool reveal.
True.
The mask.
He didn't keep that. He didn't keep that identity very long.
Absolutely not. T'Challa takes off his mask, and we've realized that it is the man, the myth, the legend, the prince of Wakanda.
Yeah.
Now the king. I mean, now he's the king of Wakanda.
True. So as they're driving back, we get another super cool line from T'Challa where he's talking about, since my father died, he was the king. He's like, now I'm the warrior and the king. With all of my resources, how long do you think you can keep your friend from me? And I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's gonna be
He's
good.
gonna kill Bucky. So they go back to this government compound.
They take their suits, their
Yeah,
wings, their shields.
because that's all evidence now. Because they all got arrested. Tony's doing what Tony does. He's trying to like talk to Ross and like trying to get these guys off the hook. But basically, that phone call ends with Tony telling Ross to like go to hell. Basically. So while that's happening, Vision and Wanda have this pretty sweet moment where Vision's trying to cook, and he's like a pinch of paprika, and he's like, "But yeah, that's a pinch."
Yeah, and he has no taste buds,
Right.
So he's making food that he can't taste. So when Wanda tastes it,
She's
it's
like, "That's not
awful.
paprika." But yeah, really sweet moment where she's like, "I want people to see you how I see you."
Yeah, how Vision says that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty nice.
And she goes to leave to get groceries,
And it's quickly ruined the sweet moment.
Yeah, he puts his hand out and he's like, "Yeah, Stark told me to keep you here because not for your protection, but for everybody else's protection."
And that's I think that's when he says it. He's like, I don't want them to be scared of you.
Right.
I want them to see you as the person that I see.
The sweet Wanda, not the blowing
Not
up
the
buildings.
oopsies.
This is kind of where Vision changes too. Like in the first one, like he was this like being that like wasn't
was
on
a
either
robot.
side. He's a robot. He's on the side of humanity, and he wasn't controlled by anybody.
Yeah.
Now in this one, he goes, "I gotta listen to Mr. Stark."
Because I think he thinks that that's the best option. Like, he cares. Not whether he knows it or not yet. He cares for Wanda, and he wants her to be safe wherever she goes. So he doesn't want people to think of her as a monster or a evil person.
Yeah, no, he's having experiences that a machine shouldn't have,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So yeah, back to the government compound. Cap and Tony have this pretty great discussion. And that's the clip that we have for you guys.
I don't mean to make things difficult.
I know, because you're a very polite person.
If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth. But I don't want to see you gone. We need you, Cap.
So far, nothing's happened that can't be undone. If you sign, we can make the last 24 hours legit. Barnes gets transferred to an American psych center instead of a Wakandan prison.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but there would have to be safeguards.
Sure. Once we put out the PR fire, those documents can be amended. I'd file a motion to have you and Wanda reinstated.
Wanda, what about Wanda?
She's fine. She's confined to the compound currently. Vision's keeping her company.
Oh, God, Tony, every time I think
Well,
you
it's
see
100
things the right
acres
way.
with a lap pool. It's got a screening room. There's worse ways to protect people.
Protection. Is that how you see this? This is protection? It's internment,
She's
Tony.
not a U.S. citizen, and they
Oh,
don't
come
grant
on,
visas
Tony.
to weapons of mass
She's a
destruction.
kid.
Give me a break! I'm doing what has to be done to stave off something worse.
You keep telling yourself that.
Give them both Oscars already.
Yeah. No, that's a good scene. And this really like solidifies their
How tragic this is.
yeah.
Because like they're both just trying to. They're
Two
both
friends trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, and they're not on the same page, and it's just tough because as this indecision is happening, the team is slowly being ripped apart.
And you know why? Because Barton's not there.
True.
Hawkeye's the only one keeping
retired.
the team together.
No, I think like it gets mentioned up later, like specifically by Kat, but like this is like they're both co-founders and fathers of the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
And so this is their baby, and they both want to take care of the team, but they don't agree on how to do it. That's the whole premise of this thing. It's their babies, and
So-
they're be protective over it.
Then, so Bucky is like locked up in this like metal chair with like this glass kind of like metal thing surrounding him. Which, fair enough. I don't know when he's going to go snap and go Winter Soldier. So this
they call in a psychiatrist.
Yeah. So he's going to come in and talk to Bucky. It's all going to be good. And they're going to figure out why he's, doing the things he does.
Yeah, it would have been a good idea.
Except it's not the psychiatrist. It's your boy Zemo.
I don't get how they just failed to check this guy's identity. They're like, oh yeah, it's him, and then let him in.
Like, the thing is, Zemo, he doesn't actually have any real, like, connections.
Mm-mm.
How did he just walk in?
My only thought is what we learn later.
Well,
He kills the psychiatrist and
Well,
takes
I
all
know,
of his
even then, but
takes all of his identifications.
Well, this is like
doesn't
a
look the same.
world-renowned like psychiatrist. That's why they called him in. Like, there's pictures of him all over the internet.
that's the only thing that's, like, messing with me is...
Government
Surely
oversight.
They are the government.
Yeah, the government never makes mistakes.
That's a good point.
So he sneaks in, triggers Bucky immediately by saying all the code words from the Red Book. And
He sets off an EMP to take out...
at the same time, knocks out the
uh,
power to this facility, which helps Bucky get out of his restraints. I guess now he's the Winter Soldier. And he breaks out of this thing, and as Tony tells Friday to like find the location of the EMP, Sam and Cap run down to the place. Yeah, and Cap's immediately suspicious. He's like, "Who are you?" And like then just like throws him to the ground. And because Bucky's here and punches Sam in the chest with the metal arm, and he goes flying and hits his back against like Bucky's cage. And I'm like, Sam, are you good? Did you need a break, buddy? Because he's just a human.
He's a normal guy.
Bucky or Winter Soldier throws Cap down the elevator shafts, and so he's as the Winter Soldier is trying to like make his way out. And Natasha and Tony are talking. He's like, "Hey, you got a suit? You got a suit?" He's like, "Yeah, I got a nice 3-piece from London here." And he's, I'm gonna miss Cap and Tony now that they're gone because of just like these little moments like that.
Like the speed at their quips.
Oh, their quips are crazy. So it's up to Natasha and Sharon and Tony. And Sharon and Natasha both get like just kind of knocked to the wayside pretty quick.
Tony has a watch that has like a
And, like,
tiny repulsor on it.
And it can do like it has a concussive
Sound wave,
blast
yeah.
and like the equivalent, I guess, of like a
Flashbang.
flashbang. And like it doesn't really do much. And like Bucky almost shoots him in the face, but it hits the and it like breaks the repulsor thing.
yeah.
And then Tony gets knocked to the wayside. And dude, and once again, the king, the BA warrior, dude, comes in. And even when Bucky's in Winter Soldier, like, I'm going to kill everything in sight, T'Challa whoops his butt. Like, it's easily.
But this whole scene, I don't know if you guys just like glazed over it though. Like when Natasha goes, "You can at least remember me."
Right.
Do you guys know what that's about? There's like a whole theory out there where she's referring back to the comics. At one point, her and Bucky were married.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is her like trying to like break through the Winter Soldier part of him. I'm like, "You can at least remember me," as she like slams around the table.
They were married?
Well,
Yeah,
in the comics.
Okay.
But I think here it's just kind of a joke.
Okay. That went completely over my head.
And if it's just like they're referring to the movie, she's ran into him a lot of times. He also shot her previously to like the Winter Soldier movie.
True.
Yeah,
So she's like,
True.
at least.
Yeah. Good point.
So yeah, that fight doesn't go well. As Zemo leaves, he kind of sneaks out of the place. He listens to a recorded message, and it's like the same message every time that he's listening to. And it's at here you're just kind of like, "This dude crazy? Why is he listening to this message over and over again?" Well, he's obviously crazy, but like,
Well, I think we only get snippets of the recording, so it sounds like he is like actively talking to someone, right, on the phone, which is a lady.
yeah. But like the thing is, he never says anything. He just kind of like puts it down. I'm like, she sounds a nice lady. Why are you not talking to the nice lady? So Cap and Bucky meet up again. They're still fighting, and Bucky's about to jump on this helicopter and fly out of here. And we get a really cool underrated Cap moment where he just grabs the helicopter and grabs the landing pad and just kind of pulls them both together. So then Bucky just decides to flip the helicopter over and try to stab his best friend.
Try to cut his head off with the propellers.
Twice, like with the top one and then like
The rotor.
the tail rotors.
He's out for blood.
They fall into like this ocean or river or whatever, and Bucky gets knocked unconscious, and Cap is the one to pull him out of the water this time instead of, vice versa, like the last movie. They were together.
And then
Cap puts his arm in a vice, and he's like, "Who am I talking to?" And he's like, "Your mother's name is yada yada yada." And we
as
went,
a kid, blah blah blah.
yeah. And then Sam's like, "Oh, we're good now."
This is like a really cool scene because this brings in Ant-Man,
True.
because this is the after credits scene of Ant-Man.
Oh, we get. Hold on, we get like a little more information from Bucky.
Okay.
He tells us a couple things where when they got him out of the ice, they did a training program and they made more Winter Soldiers.
That's right.
So there's like 7 or 8 of these like stronger people than Bucky. And
They were the top assassins
Yeah.
in the Union, Soviet Union.
Hydra. I
Yeah,
don't
more
know.
Hydra.
Okay.
And the reason why this came about because they wanted to know why the guy wanted to talk to him, and the Bucky could not remember a thing because obviously he was in the other mentality.
Yeah.
But the thing is, his only assumption was those people,
Right.
so he has no idea why the doctor talked to him at all.
So yeah, not good that there's a bunch of evil super soldiers out there.
There's like 8 more.
But yes, so we get to this like recruitment phase of like, because like both sides are kind of seeing the writing on the wall and there's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
So we get this like recruitment phase of the movie. And like you said,
This is from the after credits scene of Ant-Man when he's like, I know a guy.
so yeah, Steve gets Scott Lang. Well, I guess, wait, did we skip over?
Yeah, we skipped.
We skipped over Clint showing back up and going back
yes.
to the Avengers compound and like literally holding off Vision for like 0.5 seconds with like this electro like
He
taser
tried.
thing.
He really, really tried.
And
Well, Wanda impeded him a little bit. She wasn't really moving.
yeah, because she was like, "Should I leave? Because like I don't want to hurt people." But Vision shows back up, and Clint tries, but
He stops him for a second with like electrical arrows.
yeah,
I do like his speech to her. Like he gave the same one they gave back in Ultron, like "Get off your butt." You know?
yeah. But then when they actually do like hand to hand stuff, poor Clint.
He's made of vibranium.
Yeah.
Like
He says to Clint, he's like, "You can't beat me." Like
Vision can go through him somehow. That is still the most bizarre power to me. And he's made of steel, like pretty much steel. But
It's the stone.
Stone be doing crazy things.
they do.
But Wanda makes his density like
10
like
times,
whatever
100 times.
is in the earth, and just like blast him through like I don't know how many miles like down into the earth.
It's a ways.
And
I
then
was confused at why he just didn't get back up.
I don't know.
Because
You
I
probably
feel like
disabled
once she
this.
stops it, when they leave, he's just flying up a hole.
Could have been that far down. It
And I'm
also
assuming-
could have been like bamboozled because he's like Wanda, what the heck? What you did?
It could have
World.
confused him, but also I'm assuming that a lot of that ground collapsed on top of him as well.
Oh, that does make sense.
Stark's student is also recruiting. He goes to Queens, and I never heard of him. Not that big of a deal, but he gets a kid named Peter Parker, like whoever that kid is.
Some guy.
Dude, absolute
some
favorite superhero of all time is Peter Parker. Dude, Spider-Man is so cool. It's a great scene of like Tony like showing up and he's like, "That's you, right? That you're the Spider Boy." He's like, "No, that's not me.
That's YouTube.
You two can fake things." And like Tony hits like this drop mechanism, and it's like his suit falls down.
It's pretty good.
Then he proceeds to just trash on his suit.
Oh, yeah.
True.
He's like, well, you could have done this better. And,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! How do you see out of these?
You're in serious need of an upgrade. But he asks Peter one essential question, which I think is cool. He's like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you helping people out?" And Peter,
I think it was like, with all these powers, why aren't you more popular? Or like, why aren't you this and that? And Peter goes, well, when you can do the things that I can do and you
don't
choose not to, that's on you, or something like that.
it's basically like a great. It's like
it's
a great
value version.
Great power. With great power comes great responsibility.
It's the great value version.
Yeah.
With great power.
Which, good answer. So Tony's like, "You're coming with me. We're gonna go."
Does that suggest that his Uncle Ben already gave him the speech?
Well, I don't think. I don't think he did.
Yeah,
I think he's already dead, and I don't think he ever did because
I don't think there was ever an Uncle Ben to begin with.
No, there is.
Okay,
because he has a suitcase that has his initials on, like it has like
UB?
yeah,
Uncle Ben.
Yeah, it doesn't say that, but it's like it's BP Ben Parker.
Gotcha.
But like you said, this is the roundabout way of saying it. So he's already basically received that teaching,
right?
At some point.
He's got that, but we get those actual words
later,
a couple movies later. What happens next?
Then we get to see Scott Lang.
Scott Lang.
So we are seeing that,
and Sharon gives him the gear.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Makes that with Cap, gives him a smooch.
And the boys.
The boys.
Yeah.
We get to see how much the two hate each other.
Oh my God, they hate each other so much. It's great.
Can you move your seat up?
No.
So then, big CGI fight at the airport.
Oh yeah.
Funny fact about this is when the two teams are running towards each other, on Tony's side, you see Natasha running. She's the only one physically present. The rest of them are all CGI at that moment.
Didn't you say it could have been a different movie, and I could have already said this. Didn't you say that, yeah, in one of these movies she's pregnant?
I think it's Winter Soldier, but I could be wrong.
Okay, but like even so, she still did a lot of action in all of these movies.
Oh yeah.
To be pregnant during the production is insane.
A lot of fantastic moments in this fight.
Oh yeah.
Little man goes big man.
Little man goes inside of Tony's suit and he's like, "This is your conscience. I've been trying to reach you for a while now."
You don't talk a lot.
Hawkeye shoots a cage and drops a bunch of cars on Tony.
Yeah.
Spidey shows up in the Stark suit.
Wanda pulls cars out of a building at Tony.
Yeah.
They do a Star Wars reference.
Spider-Man takes on Cap. Takes on Cap. Then he takes on the Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Bucky punches it, goes to punch him with the metal arm, and he just grabs it, and he's like, "That's so cool!" And he's just turning it with
he's moving Bucky's arm. So that just shows you how
strong he is.
Extremely powerful.
I love the Spider-Man interaction in this one.
And he's not really trying, and he's taking on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he's webbing them up and doing all these things, and then Red Wing comes in and pulls Peter out of the window, and
Bucky goes, "You couldn't have done that sooner."
I hate you.
Yeah, only tad little nitpick. I guess you could kind of say that just because he's a kid and yet doesn't have a lot of experience fighting superhuman individuals yet. But when Cap and Spidey are fighting, he webs up Cap, and Cap just pulls him forward off of his feet. I'm like,
his whole power is
he's
sticky.
One of his powers is how he's able to the force in which he's able to stick to things. Sometimes it's accidental.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to stick to things, but he does accidentally.
Which this part brings me to my idea of maybe his shoes aren't sticky. His shoes are there's hard soles so that his feet don't stick to things, but his hands can.
I don't know.
So and when he's climbing and stuff, that doesn't make any sense because he's sticking to walls. But he's not sticking.
I think it's just a mistake because both his feet and hands do stick.
Okay, how about this? Do you guys think his power is he actually has to think about it? Think about having to stick or having to think that about not sticking?
I think it's like Spidey sense. It just kind of happens when he needs to be on something. And I think it just happens.
Yeah.
Well,
This is another thing. That's another thing. Spidey sense.
Yeah,
People
are like, it didn't happen in the movie. I'm like, bro, he gets the thing thrown at him. He goes, oh God, and he turns.
it's a car thrown at him.
well, I
And then
think
he whips it and turns it around, and then he's like, I think you missed this, and he like throws it back at Bucky.
I think it comes down to his inability of like fighting superhero individuals because he's just been saving people, stopping cars, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All that stuff. He's not imagining this guy can rip him off his feet.
Yeah, I think it is. It's got to be something about not realizing.
Yeah, he also is 16.
True.
Yeah, so they has fight. And this fight absolutely has consequences. Not only for like physical damage, but as
Physical damage.
the
Natasha betrays Tony
Natasha, what the heck?
and helps Steve get away with.
Probably because of her
Bucky.
relationship with Cap and like with the Winter Soldier and them trusting each other. Yep, trust. Bleh.
Bleh.
Yeah.
Lets him get away.
T'Challa is like super close. He's like he almost got it, but Bucky and Cap escape in the Quinjet, and the rest of them will later just be arrested, send them to the raft. But they're about out. But Sam is after them in hot pursuit. As Vision is kind of consoling Wanda because she got like bonked on the head at some point in this fight. Cap and Rhodey are also flying after Sam, so it's like Quinjet, Sam, Rhodey, and Tony. They're all like flying after each other. Tony tells Vision turn him into a glider, so he just like lands to the ground. He just can't fly anymore. Vision shoots the beam, slices. Well, Rhodey dodges it, or no,
Sam.
Sam dodges it,
hits Rhodey in the
slices
chest.
right through the arc reactor on his chest. Boom! Looking for this, and he hits the ground. He hits the ground.
Yeah. Dude, it's bad because Sam lands. He dive bombs to try to help.
And then
He's
Tony
just
just hits it with the repulsor. He's like, I don't want to hear anything about you right now.
So then everybody, all the
He's alive.
yeah,
He's alive, but he's like, his
all the people
spine
on
is
Steve's
shattered.
Team go to jail,
Yeah.
and this is Falcon feels bad, like 100%. He feels awful.
Yeah. So then we learn as
Tony goes in to visit.
Tony's on a helicopter going to the raft, and he gets like all this information of like Friday's giving us like this stuff. Zemo's been tricking him the whole time. Like he killed the psychiatrist. He has been sending videos of like Bucky, yada, yada, yada. He's been tricking everybody. And he's like, all right, Tony's like, all right, I'm wrong. He gets there, hacks everything so it's only visual and not audio. And he tells like Sam, like, okay, tell me where they are. He's like, okay, I'll tell you, but you got to go as a friend. They're at the secret base where, like, in I'm guessing it's Russia.
Siberia.
Siberia.
Yeah. That's where the Winter Soldiers or the other like super soldiers are.
Yeah.
So, and I think also the genius of this movie is you think they're gonna go there. And it's going to be like this, the buddies are teaming up again, and they're going to
fight is going to be them.
They're going to fight the super soldiers. Then they get there, and they all got bullets in their head.
Yeah,
like they're
that
all
wasn't
already.
Zemo's plan.
Well, no, he did that.
Right, no,
He shot all the super soldiers.
The
To fight
plan
the
wasn't
super
to
soldiers.
have
Oh,
the
right,
super
right.
soldiers.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, they get there, and Zemo's there in like a little window, and he's like talking to them. And this is a cool.
Showing them a video.
Well, Cap walks up to the screen and he has a cool line where he's like, "Oh, there's a little bit of green in those blue eyes," which is it's a weird line on face value, but like what it means is Cap's not as perfect as he's trying to say like you're not as perfect as we
Everybody
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get a video that says December 16th, 1991.
So this is the thing he's been trying to find out about the entire time.
And as soon as the car crashes, Tony's like,
I know that
"Oh
road.
crap! I know that road. I know that car." And it's Bucky there as the Winter Soldier. He crashes the car. Howard Stark gets out, and he's uber confused because like he knew Bucky like back in 1945.
Sergeant Barnes.
and he just gets his face beat in by the metal arm. So he's dead. Yeah. And then he walks around. And I can't imagine how Tony must have saw this because he can't see his mom. He just sees the Winter Soldier walking around and putting his hand in the car. And I'm like...
I think he can hear it, too. Because he can... I believe he could hear. Although, I don't know. Because
I don't know.
They actually show us
the scene.
Right.
So we don't know if...
So I don't know. It would be even more terrible if there was no audio. Because then it's all just imagination.
Yeah.
And then Winter Soldier shoots the camera, and that's how you get the other super soldiers. Is he took that fluid, and you can see it in Tony's eyes, like he's. Well, I don't blame Tony here really at all, because like you have your best friend, and he's like, "Did you?" He's like, "Did you know?" And he's like, "I didn't know at the time." He's like, "Don't bullshit me, Rogers. Did you know?" And he's like, "Yes."
Well, he really didn't know. He just had an idea that there's a possibility of it being him that killed his dad.
Well, no, he definitely did know because
he knew.
Because Bucky had already he had figured out like all of like Bucky's happenings like as the Winter Soldier, and yeah, that was one of the missions. And obviously, Cap knows who Howard and Martha. No, it's not Martha. What is her name?
Not Martha.
Martha.
Why'd you say that name?
He knows who they are because he had met them in 1945.
Yeah. Well, he never knew the mom though.
Right, yeah. So Maria Stark. Tony loses it. Backhands Cap with the repulsor gun and then like goes to attack Bucky. And as Zemo leaves with a smirk on his face, that's the plan, is to tear down the Empire through the inside. Also, who's sneaking around in the background listening to all this? T'Challa.
So
he
T'Challa realizes that it wasn't Bucky who did
right.
it. It was Zemo the entire time.
And also, it's pretty cool that not only that T'Challa can kick a bunch of ass, but like, dude, stealth mode. Like nobody knows he's there.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this movie shows growth in the character already.
Mm-hmm.
He went from a warrior to somebody who realizes
who's out for blood.
Who realizes that there's good parts about peace, and like it's an importance to know why things are happening.
Right. As they're fighting, Zemo goes out on the cliff and he's listening to the message one last time, and he gives like a little monologue to T'Challa. We figure out that that's his wife and his daughter that's on the phone.
They were in Sokovia.
And yeah, and that's why he wants to kill the Avengers, which I'm like, fair enough.
And he admits that he couldn't do this alone. Like,
oh yeah,
men that are stronger than him, have powers, have tried and they failed
to physically take on the Avengers.
So he had to find a different way.
Yeah. He goes to shoot himself, but then T'Challa's like, yeah, vengeance is consuming them. It consumed you. I'm done letting it affect me. And he says something, and then Zemo says something about like he wants to join the dead or something like that. And he's like, the living are not finished with you yet. And I'm like, why is he so cool?
such a cool guy.
Yeah, direct. Like it's the exact comic book cover of Tony and Cap fighting with like the repulsor beams against the shield. This fight is
life or death.
Yeah. And it's
because if
once
Tony
again
gets a hold of him,
it's over.
It's over. Tony is going to kill one of them.
Well, I think kill Bucky for sure. I don't know
if Tony's in the way or if Steve's in the way, he will.
I think in this fight he makes the effort to like every time like Steve tries to stop him, he tries to like just push Steve away.
Yeah.
And like just go after Bucky.
I don't know because once
Steve just keeps coming.
Once he blasts.
But we get
Bucky's arm
we get
off.
another like super tragic line where like, well, first off, Cap's like, he's like, I can't let you do this. He's my friend. And Tony goes, so was I. And then also Cap says he doesn't remember Tony. It wasn't him. He was brainwashed. And Tony goes, I don't care. He killed my mom. And I'm like, whew.
Yeah. So then Steve.
He grabbed with the metal arm. He grabs Tony's reactor, which, like he said, is a good thing that it's not powering as hard anymore. So then Tony shoots the beam that like he did in
The Sokovia beam, the red laser out of
with
his chest.
him and Thor destroying the planet. Bucky's arm's gone. Like it's not just like blown off, like it's fried, gone, destroyed.
Disintegrated.
So Bucky's out of the fight. He's
and then
Cap gets the I
just
can do
Cap
this
versus
Cap. I can do this all day. They just keep fighting, and they're like just continually. Like his suit's getting damaged.
Friday's dope in this situation.
Yeah, and Cap is just continuing to get more and more bloody, and it's like these just two friends that are just not going to stop until one of them is just either dead or incapacitated. Yeah, but Friday analyzes Cap's fight pattern, and they kick his butt for a little bit. But like you said, Cap is the better man of this scenario because I think it's entirely possible that Tony might have accidentally killed Cap.
Yeah,
but
I think
Cap
in
made
a
sure
rage, he would have done it.
Cap made sure not to kill Tony just to incapacitate the suit.
This scene right here, this shows that he is more than just the super serum.
Again,
he is a better man, and he smashes his shield into Tony's chest and kills the arc reactor.
Right.
When he totally could have
He could
decapitated.
have decapitated.
Oh yeah,
He no longer had his helmet on.
right. He shattered it.
And this is
He tells Tony to leave the shield because it's not yours, it's my father's, and he drops it, and like it's forever tainted because it has the claw mark on the shield, just like the team. It's forever tainted now. So then that fight's over, which
that's pretty much the end.
Yeah.
And then we get the few last credits, and
so then we cut to Rhodey's still alive.
yes,
He's just paralyzed, but he is learning to walk already, which is pretty cool.
because
with this,
Tony is his best friend.
Yeah, he's got the legs helping him out. Gets a package for Tony Stank
Yes,
from Stan Lee.
And they're like, I'm never gonna let that.
Yeah.
They
I wish
immediately did.
I wish you. Well, I understand why, because it probably would have got like old, possibly.
Yes.
But it's a phone. It's a burner phone with a letter from Steve, old classic, old man Steve writing letters. He says that like, I know we're not on talking terms. We're not friends right now. But if you ever really need me, call this phone. And yeah, like we'll see, like in the later movies, they don't interact like until like,
Until
it's their
they
end.
have to.
Well, it doesn't help that in that movie he goes to space. He's not exactly on Earth to interact with him.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
he I don't know if I think that's a good point though, that like they don't interact in that movie because it's like, yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Cap goes, breaks some fellows out of prison. So if he wasn't an enemy of the state, he is now.
And this is insane. He does it without a suit and without a shield, and he takes down mass armies of gunmen.
And we learn from from Black Widow that he's not alone.
Yes.
So then the after credit scene is Cap takes Bucky to Wakanda, and Bucky wants to be put on ice. So then, I don't know, Cap does his thing afterwards until a certain big movie, and then, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, this was a great movie.
Oh, yeah. One of the
few
easily
with
top
real stakes.
Easily top three.
If you were only to watch 3, this would be one of them.
And not only is it like it's hard to choose sides, it's hard to see like these friends like slowly tear the team apart. I think those are strengths rather than like what like things that hurt this movie. Visual effects are really solid, introducing new characters here. Also, once again, furthering the story and the character development of all these different characters once again. Like 8 or 9 out of 10. I kind of go back and forth, but I could easily see like a 9. But yeah, no, it's Civil War is a amazingly tragic story.
Yeah. I think For me, it's really irritating, this movie, because both sides have good points.
Sounds like a positive.
It is. But if you're like, well, I really like this character, but they're really mad at that character, it's really difficult. So, I mean, it's definitely like an 8 or a 9. So I'm going to go like an 8.5. But it's such a good movie with actual stakes that affect the rest of the series.
Oh, yeah. People are like, nobody died, so it doesn't have stakes. We'll see later in the movies. This movie absolutely had stakes.
Yeah.
I'm right in line with all you guys. I think an 8. Same thing with you guys. Both sides fighting with her, and like the time, like, well, this guy's fighting this guy. They had a little scene where Clint and Natasha are fighting, and it's basically just two friends rolling on the ground just fighting. It just depends how hard you hit me.
Are we still friends after?
But I did have a little bit, a little criticism like of the CGI, and it mainly came with Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because we just watched Ant-Man before this, so they had like a practical suit that looked super real and all the CGI. And then they changed his whole suit. I know it's a new suit.
Yeah, they did.
Like the helmet looked weird. The silver on it,
I think it's more comic accurate.
I think
could be
it
wrong,
is.
but it does look different and kind of strange.
But that whole fight was basically CGI, so that's why it looked a little bit weird for me because we just got off an Ant-Man movie. But other than that, it's a great movie. Same points as you guys. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, this has been the Silver Screen Shenanigans podcast. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time.